Hey everyone, I listened to the audiobook of Open Water narrated by the author, and it was a treat. I think in this book particularly, I benefited from listening to the narration the way the author intended it, with the tone that he wanted to give to his words. And it was wonderful. Now, Open Water tells the story of a young man meeting a young woman and falling in love, the vulnerability of becoming friends and starting a relationship. But there is more to the story. The whole story is told in episodes and in second person narration. So you don't follow the events chronologically from one day to the next, but you zoom in and out of the experiences and times and events that those two experience. Apart from the relationship, we also focus on what it means to be young and Black in London. So these two people are Black and in their early 20s. And the man is a photographer and the woman is living in Dublin, I think, and she's a dancer, if I understood correctly. There we come to the downside of the audiobook. I think I missed a few references and I didn't understand everything that was mentioned perfectly. But I don't think that mattered because there were a lot of details that add to the narration, yes, and with the references, some names I just didn't know were local places in London or musicians and artists that I didn't know. And if I had read the book, I must admit I might have looked them up. But listening, I rarely do that. But still, I preferred listening to the book. Like I said, this book mostly focuses on their relationship, and it is very relatable when you see how he deals with liking her and getting to know her, becoming friends, wanting more, and yeah, thinking about what to share, what not to share. And it's very raw, it's very open, it's very vulnerable, and very beautifully written. But being Black and young in London also plays a very big role also on their relationship and how exhausting it can be and how life feels and how tired or weary the narrator is. And I cannot relate to that. Despite of that, I think that through this narration that you have a very relatable part to a rather unrelatable part for me. Other readers will experience it differently. You also get something else out of those parts that you cannot relate to. And since it's narrated in the second person, you get a different perspective on it and you interact with the text differently than you would if it were first person narration or the whole text were from a perspective where you couldn't really find any relatable point to the narrator. And I think this is something very interesting about this book, that it will mean and influence or affect people differently depending on your life, depending on the experiences you've had in your life, the different things you see in those people where you say, that sounds relatable, or I understand that. I've been to that club. I listened to that music. Oh, I've done that too. And that broadens the sense of making these events real. Does it make any sense? What I really think this book is wonderful in writing. I think it portrays a present time feeling, how it is to be Black in London and young right now for those two and maybe for more people. And I think it's well worth reading for that alone, but also the feelings that it makes you feel, how it affects you, how it makes you interact with the text. I highly recommend it. And also the audiobook. Like I said, the tone the author puts to his text and to his words really gives it a more feeling, makes it more impressionable. My battery is flashing. Let's end this. Thank you all for watching. I want to know if you have read Open Water, if you heard of it, if you're interested in it. Let me know what you think.